manipulating PDFs. Yeah.
So for a book like this, there's only English, and the text-to-speech is okay. But for like linguistic production, it has this IPA and some other example. So even though we OCR them, still we cannot really plug in and listen to first.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. You know, this is not something that I've had to work with. Yeah.
Because the thing is that it's okay to read the English paragraph, but not the example.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether there are other languages this works with. I'm really not sure. It would be a good question for you to ask. That's good.
But anything which is non-text, like graphics or diagrams, then you're not going to get those.
No. But what I tend to do, like whenever I am away a lot and I'm travelling, and I've got, over a week I'm going to be in a plane for up to 5 or 6 hours, and I'll have some things that I may read, but I may just want to listen to them. And I tend to listen to podcasts when I'm travelling anyway, because I want to inform myself about things. But I've really found, and again, I mean, it's like technology doesn't eliminate pain. And if something is too good to be true, then it usually is not true. But there are many, many new technologies that are on the cusp of reducing the amount of labour involved in getting the kind of work that we need to get done to get through our qualification. Full stop, new paragraph. And again, I'm not saying this again because I don't think that you've heard it, but we need to consider that there are things that outside of university that we use enthusiastically to make our life more enjoyable, but we have to have that kind of same attitude with our studies. There are some things which will not be easier. There is no substitute for reading. If I listen to a book, I will have a notebook and I will write down specific phrases. Because I've listened to this from a text, what I will do is I will go through and I will go to the PDF and I will go and I will type and search for that specific phrase. I will highlight that phrase in the PDF. Why? Because I will eventually be using this when I am going to be writing a chapter or a book or an article or a conference paper, and I will want to be able to cite that specific word. And so for this book, I think I filled about 5 pages of just key words and phrases. And when I got off the plane, what I did is I opened my computer and I opened the file. So this is Niall Green's Sufism, A Global History. Okay, now bear with me, this is the story. So what I did, I'm going to have to turn this off now. What I did, and I want to change the focus of what I talk about now. So we're moving into organisational skills. Now, by the way, there's a sale on this software, and it's usually about $500. And till the end of this month, it's going to be $100 for this. I think it's called Omni. If you look up Nuance and PDF, then I think it's called Omni. Okay, I want to talk about filing. Now, again, I'm astounded at how many academics have absolutely no idea about how to make folders and about what they can and can't do in terms of file names. And I think this is a very important issue that I'd like to spend a bit of time talking about. Okay, so this is my academic library. Okay? Let's just step back here. Okay, now I am using Mac, the program that you would be using in Windows. Is it still called Windows Explorer? Is that what it's called? Windows Explorer?
Maybe Windows 10 calls it something else.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Okay, most file programs have a number of views. You know, these are the views that you can have in Mac. Now, which view do I use and why? I use the details view, and the details view will allow me to do a number of things. Why do you think I use the details view? What are some reasons why I might use detail views?
You've got very long file names.
Okay, why have I got very long file names?
It's transparent what's in the file.
Okay, what is consistent? Anyone who's been in university for a while, have a look through my PDFs. What have I done with them? It's a reference. So this is a modified author date. So surname, comma, initial, year, title. If it is a journal, then I usually have the journal name or an abbreviation. So this is the Journal of Southeast Asia Studies. Why have I done this? Why? Okay. Are any of you using Linux? Do any of you use Linux? You do?
I have.
You have, or you have in the past?
Yes.
But yeah. The big problem with Linux is that it doesn't allow you to have long file names.
Windows also has a limit.
Yeah. So, and again, you can. I mean, I think Mac does have a limit as well, but I'm really not sure about the technicalities. But there are a number of advantages for me filing my academic material using the system. What are the advantages?
You don't have to open the file and look what the name of the article or book is or all these things. So you can just look at it and say, oh, okay, this is it. You know.
Sure. What's another advantage? Good, Zubair. What's another advantage?
Also, sorting is another.
Good, sorting. So, that's good. I mean, I can find stuff. So again, because I'm a megalomaniac, let's just look at me. Enough about you, back to me. So though I can easily PDF. So these are all my articles. Okay. So I can easily select special topics. So let's just see what's on about Pakistan. So these are the PDFs that I have with the word Pakistan in the title. Okay. By the way, that is a brilliant book. You should read that. Muslim Zion. This guy is absolutely outrageous. He's an Ismaili guy from Tanzania. He's very, very funny. Very, very funny. So if I have as much information, the more information I have in the file name provides me more opportunities for me to keep a track of my information. Now I'm just going to say this again. In the past, getting information was the problem. The problem now is what? It's managing all this stuff. Okay, so, and there are a few things that I stumbled into doing about 10 years ago, which have increased the ease with which I can keep track of information. It doesn't eliminate all the problems. It minimalizes many of them, but it doesn't eliminate all of them. Okay. Now, there is another reason for me choosing this particular view. All of you in your Windows Explorer or your Finder can add the amount of information that you will see in your program. So, these are, you know, roughly what I have. I have the name, I have file size, I have the kind. Is it a PDF? Is it an RTF? Is it a graphic? Is it a JPEG? Is it a RAW file? But I can sort things by date added, last opened, created, and modified. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? How many of you have had the situation, man, in November I was at the conference and I got given that PDF and I put it down, or I remember reading around that topic while I was at the conference I remember being at that conference in Lahore, and I remember while I was away someone told me about discourse analysis, and that was the first time I read it, and I remember reading a few things. Now, there was something I read over that time. Now, if you have got everything in one folder, please, whatever you do, do not put PDFs in folders. Putting PDFs in folders, and even worse, having multiple copies of PDFs, puts you at you place yourself in a situation where you think, now, because there are some books that I could put this under Islam, I could put this under Sufism, I could put this under religion, and what I used to do is I used to have topical folders, and I used to have multiple versions of PDFs, some that I had annotated, some that I hadn't annotated. In the good old days, we had a bookshelf, you know, and the bookshelf was up there, and what we did is that we got books, and we read books, and we read through, and some of you may have, and I hope you don't do this, highlighted or underlined stuff, you know, highlighted pen or underlined. Now why, if I'm going to scan a book, why would I not want to do that? Because it's going to mean that the quality of my scan is not going to be as good. So what I do is I just have a line down the side here, a paragraph or a section which is of interest, and I just put a line, just a line. So I read the book and I go through and I just look for any pages that have lines on it. Now I used to just scan those pages, but because computers are much faster, scanners are a lot faster, I just scan the whole thing now. But you know, in the old days, you used to have a bookshelf, and what you did is that you would go, and some people would have a card, a reference card at the back, and they would have a summary of what was useful for them. So every book would have a card. Some people do, some people don't. But when we wanted to interact with the stuff, we knew the stuff that we needed. We would know what was relevant because we'd go to a book, and we would go to a library, and we'd go to an index, and we would look through and say, okay, this stuff has got the stuff that I'm after. We don't have to do that now because we can just go to Google Books. Google Books has scanned all the stuff we can trawl through and find what is most relevant. But what is really cool about, I want to make a case for exploring the range of functions that there are written into PCs and Macs. Why is it that the people who developed the software provided the capability for you to sort your PDFs by the date it was added to your computer or file, or the date that it was modified, which is often not the same. Modified, so if I read a PDF and I put an annotation and a highlight, I can modify it. Why is that important? Because you can go back through, and it's kind of like a reading diary. You kind of remind yourself, this is the stuff that I've read over the last few months. So the students that I am supervising, I sometimes, if I'm being a bit cheeky, and I tell them to follow the system, I say, show me what you've been reading. Now, mysteriously, a lot of people haven't got their cord, and they say, oh, my battery has kind of died, because they haven't been reading. I mean, they haven't been opening. If they go to the academic library, there's no PDFs that have been opened. I mean, it was all added on the day that I gave it to them, and none of them have read anything. Now, how can I know that? Because I can go and check date opened. So this is and the further you get on in your career, whether it be in the course of doing your master's or your PhD or a postdoc project, the amount of literature and the amount of information that you are going to accumulate is going to grow and grow and grow. And so I am not a fundamentalist, but I am a strong enthusiast for being very careful and systematic and consistent in how we access, file, name, and manage organised electronic literature. Because if you don't put a user date name, if you don't file a PDF following a modified user date, you are going to have to do what Zubair said. You're going to have to open every PDF to kind of find out which is the one that he needs. Does that make sense? Questions and comments? Yeah.
You mentioned putting all